What's going on, everybody? Leo Cannell here with the Seven Figures Club podcast. In today's podcast, we're going to talk about the importance of doing the things you hate, because someday it'll make you great. Doing the things you hate someday will absolutely make you great. How doing the things that I hated helped me build multiple seven figures businesses in the business funding arena, and how Elon Musk was able to do the things that he hated to make his first true business truly great, good old PayPal. Let's go. There are over 32 million businesses in the US, and over 90% of them will never break seven figures in annual sales. So how do we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs break into that seven figures club? This podcast will relentlessly share the secrets, strategies, and tactics I've used to create 3 multi-seven figures businesses and bring in even more successful entrepreneurs than me to share their inspirational stories and tactics to success. You can create your dream business and life right now. So buckle up and let's go. All right, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing day and writing those goals down, having a great week, well-focused, making things happen. And today in this podcast, I wanted to kind of talk about the importance of doing the things you hate that someday will make you absolutely great. Because in today's world, we often hear, do what you're passionate about, do the things you love, and that'll translate into success, and you'll never work a day of your life. And that is very cute, and it's certainly very possible, but I haven't seen that happen very often. And even in, for example, let's take the example of a health coach. You're a health coach, and you love health and you love fitness, but then there's going to be marketing, and there's going to be sales calls, and there's going to be operations, and I guarantee you there's going to be some things in there in building that health and fitness coaching business. There's going to be quite a few things that you're going to have to do that you probably don't want to do. You might even hate doing them, but if you're going to succeed at a massive level, that's what it's going to take. As I listen to a lot of books that Grant Cardone has written, he always talks about doing the things that your competition are unwilling to do because they're too damn lazy, or they don't want to do the hard things. And that, my friends, is a fact of life. If you're trying to join the Seven Figures Club and build that multi-seven figures business and create something that changes people's lives and makes a massive impact, I guarantee you will have to do things that you hate. And if you do them, someday you'll be great. So let me tell you a few stories about having to do some of the things that I haven't enjoyed particularly doing, but did them anyway in order to achieve the goals that I had. So, for example, with this current funding business we've got, Seven Figures Funding, this was a business that I started in my home office. It was just me and my first employee, and we were just sitting there just working hard every single day. And some of the things that I had to do was I kind of had to go back to the roots of just calling leads, of even cold calling leads. And most of what we do was, we would do attraction marketing where we'd have ads, people would respond to them, and we would be working at getting them financing and funding for their business. And as I was starting the business, even though I had built multiple seven-figure businesses before that, I had to start at the beginning, and I had to do the stuff that I didn't exactly love doing. I didn't mind it, but I didn't love it. And at that point in my career, I certainly wasn't excited to do it again. But that's what I had to do. I had to, get back on the phones and call one prospective client after another who needed financing and funding to get their business. And I remember I'd start every day at 9 a.m. in my home office. I got my 5 kids running around, outside. I'm begging them to please be quiet. And I'm making these phone calls, and, I'm having to make deals and negotiate and, deal with the skepticism and the cynicism. Because at that point, when you're a brand new business, you don't have all the online 5-star reviews. You don't have that credibility, and you don't have the organization behind you and the people to really make that business grow. All that takes time, and it takes relationships and training and so many different things. And so I had to do everything. I had to do the sales, I had to do the marketing, I had to do the reach out, I had to do the cold call, I had to organize what we were going to do online and get our first reviews, And then I had to do the funding manager jobs and the underwriting and all these different things that I didn't necessarily love and frankly thought I wasn't going to have to do again. And yet to make things work, that's what it that's what it took. And as I fast forwarded 6 months later, and now it's time to get into an office, and we've already got 7 or 8 people on our team that have been working from home. We're going to move into the office, and the growth has happened, and now I've been able to fill, positions in some of the roles that I had been doing everything and started to get the right people in those roles. Again, getting to that point, I never get there without doing the things I hated, without having to do all the little steps and the phone calls and the marketing and just all of the stuff that I thought, maybe I wasn't going to have to do those again, but I ended up having to do them. And boy, it was certainly well worth it as we saw the business grow, as I was able to get, a new wakeboarding boat for our family and really see our dreams and everything begin to come to fruition. But those things never again would have happened if I hadn't been willing to do what it took to make that happen. And that's what I see a lot of executives, a lot of managers, a lot of founders who aren't willing to kind of show the staff what it takes to succeed. And that's something I love, again, about Grant Cardone and what he does. I've seen multiple times where he's walking around his sales floor and he'll jump on a phone call direct with a client and show his sales team, being how to do it, right? How to close the deal, how to bring that value, how to listen to the client. And I think that speaks volumes for founders and executives and managers who are willing to show their team how to succeed. Now, I understand every manager isn't the best at actually doing the sales job. Maybe they're a better manager, and that's all fine and dandy. But anytime you can show by example how to do things and lead in that way, like you'll see massive success. And so one thing that I've taken pride in doing the last few years as our business has grown is I pretty much deal with a lot of the problem clients. And I've taught our staff and empowered them to be able to resolve problems quickly. But I'm not afraid to get on the phone with that angry, irate, insane, crazy client who thinks that they've been wronged when, they're just... They haven't. We've done everything possible to help them and maybe made a mistake or two along the way, but ultimately they begin to take up this victim mentality. But I'm okay taking on those clients and resolving those problems quickly. And that's, again, one of those 7 figures secrets that pays massive dividends when you're willing to do what the competition won't, when you're willing to, show by example how to do things in the business and show your team. Because ultimately, as the founder of the business, you've probably been doing this longer than they have, and no one knows how to do some of those things better than you. Now, ultimately, the goal is to build a team and empower and train them to actually be better than you were at that job, and that's always awesome. And I've seen that happen in a lot of positions in our company where our staff and our salespeople become better than I was at that job. But again, at the beginning and throughout the process, if you can show by example, that's part of doing maybe stuff that you don't love to do. You might even hate it, but if you do it, it will definitely make you great. Something I remember as I was reading Elon Musk's biography, and if you haven't read his biography, I highly recommend it. It is long, I want to say maybe 15 hours or so, but it's a very fascinating, intriguing book breaking down his life and his family's history. His grandfather was a true badass. His grandfather would fly planes across the world to build different businesses, but somehow, some way, Elon Musk's family actually ends up in South Africa. And in South Africa, he grows up. He's kind of a prodigy of being fascinated by computers and building software programs and computer programs. And as he's growing up, he goes through the process and he comes to the United States. Really doesn't have any money. Is able to make ends meet and get some education. Especially back in that time, education was super important for some of those opportunities, whereas now it's not quite as important. The skills are more important. But there he was, and one of his first companies he's building, the one that really puts him on the map, is PayPal. And at the time, I think it was called X2, and eventually he and Peter Thiel bring their two organizations together and they merge. And as to get to that point, Elon Musk had to basically cold call other businesses and build up value and just do regular sales calls that basically his entry-level employees were doing. And so he was on the phone doing that with them. He wasn't driving the Ferrari that he ends up, or the Lamborghini that he buys after he sells PayPal. He's got a crappy car, and he literally has nowhere to live, so he sleeps in the office. He eats, sleeps, and drinks this business, working, right there from their office, and, goes to sleep there, wakes up there. He's putting in 14, 15-hour days, and he's doing everything that the competition won't do in order to succeed. And I guarantee you, if you asked him during that time if he loved what he was doing and it was his passion and was it his dream? Oh, absolutely, it was his dream. Did he love having to do those sales calls and grind it out with 15-hour days? No, I don't think he did. And if you've listened to him, he is a phenomenal salesperson, no doubt, but his voice doesn't come off as that, really confident, over the top, extraordinarily extroverted, gifted sales guy. I mean, he's got amazing skills, but I think there's a lot of people that probably do some of that better than he did, especially early on in his career. But he was willing to do it. He was willing to lead. He was willing to do what the competition wasn't. He was willing to do things that I guarantee, didn't love, that he hated. And success followed. And as they merged and built PayPal up and became known later as the PayPal Mafia, especially with him and Peter Thiel and a few of the other guys that were with him, that all built billion-dollar businesses. Several of them did. Obviously, Peter Thiel's built a few, and certainly Elon Musk has. And it's just extraordinary to see the success that came because he was willing to do the things that he hated. So as you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a beginning entrepreneur, if you're not willing to get in the trenches and dig the dirt and learn the process, because before you can actually hire and train someone to replace you in that job and duplicate what you're doing so that you can grow and scale the business, it certainly helps if you're in the trenches and you learn, because when you're right there in the trenches, you learn, well, here's the objections, here's the issues, these type of deals and leads are better than others, and that's again how you succeed in business, by learning those aspects, creating those different job titles and descriptions and trainings, and then hiring out and scaling that as you grow. But you can't ever do that if you haven't been in the trenches and you haven't done those things. You're just guessing. And that's something that even Elon Musk was able to do. So my invitation to you today is to get in the trenches, find out what it is you need to do to build the foundation for whatever business you're in. Of course, if you don't have one, you can always go to sevenfigures.com and join our recession-proof business in the business funding world. We've been able to see a lot of our funding partners achieve phenomenal success, build a business from home, a recession-proof business, a business that does well, in good times and even gets even busier during bad times, like the current slowdown that we're in right now. So if you're looking for an opportunity, go to sevenfigures.com. If you already have your startup and you're an aspiring entrepreneur and you have an idea what you need to do, you have to be willing to do the things you hate, because someday it will absolutely make you great. That is a fact. That's been a fact over and over again in my life as an entrepreneur for the last 18 years, and I know it will continue to be. Now, at the same point, let me point out that the sooner you can move on to managing the business, to duplicating yourself by bringing in additional people into your organization, the quicker you'll be able to grow and scale. But again, I find it really difficult to do that if you haven't been in the trenches doing the difficult stuff. that you're going to be asking your staff to do. And even when you do grow, if you can be like Grant Cardone and jump on the phone or jump in those sales calls and show everybody that you understand what they're going through and this is how you get it done, you're going to see phenomenal success. So do the things you hate. It will make you great, and we'll see you next time on the 7 Figures Podcast. Are you looking for more 7-figure secrets, content, or even how you can launch your own recession-proof business? Then check out 7figures.com. That's the digit 7, FIGURES.com, where we share more videos, stories, strategies, funding solutions, entrepreneurial education, and even the secret business type that's recession-proof. Thank you for listening, and if you're finding value in our podcast, please give us a 5-star and invite others to join the club.